Hi everyone, this is Killshot 99 Gaming's Fear the Walking Dead Season 5 Futures, and we're going to talk about why Morgan will not die this season, even though there are articles and publications that have hinted toward that and started a whole bunch of gossip, a whole bunch of rumors. I'm going to tell you why it's a very misleading article. Usually a very reputable publication, but I'm a little concerned by this clickbait title that they just put up there a little bit ago. So before we get started, I want to give a special shout out to the Patreon Army. You see them up on the screen. They're very instrumental in a lot of things that we want to do. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on in the stream as well. But let's jump into the first topic. Well, you know what? I do want to say happy Saturday. As you guys know, we do these Saturday morning streams for a couple of different angels. Like, we want to rant, Kills. We want to rant. We want you fired up. This is Coffee with Killshot. We didn't show up for a soothing nighttime voice. Is that like rantatious enough? I don't even think rantatious is a word. But if it's not, we just made up a brand new word. But there is a publication. However, I'm going to jump into that. But last night was just a whole lot of fun. I had a great time with each and every one of you. We like to do these streams in the morning because it allows our international audience, they're not up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It's 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon there. So we kind of get everybody's best. Rev it up. I'm going to rev it up. A couple people, I scrolled through chat just a couple of minutes ago right before I logged on. And a couple of you said, sorry, Kills, I fell asleep last night. Listening to the scenario was like an audio book playing in the background. I don't know if that's I think that's a compliment, but I think on Freestyle Friday I'm gonna have to ramp it up a little bit. Maybe have some coffee before we do that. But we're going to talk about Lenny James. If you missed our Freestyle Friday last night, I'm not going to tell you what happened, but I'll give you just a couple second recap. First and foremost, who was here last night, or if you weren't here, who definitely had a chance to watch the playback of Freestyle Friday. It was the longest Freestyle Friday we've done. It was over 2 hours last night, and the time just went, it just flew in my mind. So I just want to get an idea who was here. So we added our third Play Dead Live scenario. These are all play tests. There's no official scorekeeping or record keeping or anything yet. But we're just, getting people into how the game's going to move. I'm going to meet with a few people today. We're going to talk about some rules, some things to make it a little bit more interesting. We're going to talk about character classes, a whole lot of neat stuff on the horizon. And we also added a very special character, so check the playback. We're going to add some of your thoughts, some of your ideas in there. The whole idea is it's not just that it has to be super competitive. It's that we get together and have a good time. A couple things. I don't want to tell you if you haven't watched it, but Steph did some things last night. Will the Bill did a couple things. Princess Pie. There were some super chats that changed the scenario. So you think you're moving along really, really easy, and I think Jennifer Flaherty did as well. Jim might have as well. And then all of a sudden, there's a curveball thrown by somebody observing. So it's not just for the people that are playing, it's also for the people that are observing, and the people that are observing might get pulled into the conversation and get pulled into the event as well. So just because you're there, and it's going to be a little bit different. The other thing I do want to say is we're testing these with Freestyle Friday. So normally when we do these campaigns, it's going to be 100% devoted to these campaigns. So when we're doing freestyle topics and a little bit of test and then back to freestyle topics, it may get a little bit more confusing, which is why we're only doing it about 10 or 15 minutes. So that's what we got going on. If you didn't get a chance, go back and watch last night and see how you would have participated, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple minutes. This is Saturday morning's not just going to be totally, the Walking Dead topic, because I do want to catch up with you guys on Saturday morning. And if you have other topics you want to talk about, it won't be like Freestyle Friday, but we can certainly talk about different things. But while I'm still a little bit fired up, and I am fired up, comicbook.com. I usually love comicbook.com. And in fact, it's one of the few links that I allow our members to post on the Facebook fan page. They usually have good information. They get it out there pretty quick. But the article that they did yesterday, I got to be honest, it pissed me off. It looked like a Forbes article. It wasn't Brandon that wrote it. It was somebody else. Might have been Cameron. But it was somebody else that contributed toward it. And the headline says this: 2 Walking Dead characters will get their goodbyes. So it is as borderline clickbait as you can possibly get. They had a picture of Morgan up on the screen. So the first thing that you're thinking is what? So when you read that, I'll read the headline again. And then Morgan's up on the screen. So the headline says, 2 Walking Dead characters get their goodbye. And there's a picture of Morgan. So without digging into it, what's the first thing you think, right? Morgan's a goner. Morgan's dead. I had people sending me the article saying, kills, Morgan's going to die. Check this out. I just saw this. It's not what the article said. And about halfway through the article, if you read it, that is the clear definition of clickbait. And I just want to say, comicbook.com, you're better than that. If you're listening, and sometimes they do pop around and they get different material, if you're listening, don't do that. I mean, you're above it. The whole purpose of the article was to say this. Morgan has done an interview. Morgan misses his wife. He misses his kid. And his quest is now going to be to tell his wife and son, Dwayne, goodbye. That's it. But the first thing I'm thinking, like many of you, is, well, that's the point, Jennifer. They're wrong. Morgan doesn't die. They didn't even suggest that he died. It was just to get you that brief moment to click on it to read about what we already know, which is the fact that last week Morgan made it a point to start to come to terms with the fact that he needs to bring closure to his wife and to his son's death. And the landmines really started to push that story forward. It's exactly, so my question is there anything new that I've just told you about that article that you didn't already know by us talking about it on Sunday night and Monday night? Is there any brand new information? I mean, I'm pretty sure we broke that down. We talked about the landmines. We talked about how Morgan saw Tess and her son and kind of got that feeling come over him of, you know, they're surviving and I didn't pay my tributes. Nothing in that article. And that's the problem, is usually comicbook.com is cutting edge. They give you some information like some interviews, but this was filler. This was a filler article, and sorry, don't like it, don't like the direction. I'm not, you know, I know clickbait happens. I know people, you know, they want to get your attention, but it was a waste of time. If there would have been, if it wouldn't have been about, let's say it was like almost clickbait, like I read that title and then we find out like Alicia and Grace die. Okay, well, there's a connection to Morgan there. So I would have even given them a little bit of credit. But when you're just telling me that, well, Morgan's now going to go on this vision quest to pay his respects to his wife and son, we already knew that. We already set it up. So anyway, that's what I'm fired up about this morning. So if I would have been this fired up last night, I guarantee you a few of you would not have dozed off. I would have been like, Dark Star, wake up! You're in trouble. Your character is about to be devoured. Something along those lines. So if you guys have open topics, you got things that you want to talk about, post them right now. These videos aren't going to be super, super long. I got Wilson in the house representing my international audience. And whose birthday do we have today? Is it Mandy's? I know I saw a birthday flash up on our page. I'm going to have to double check it. Is that correct, Emmy? I know Emmy is usually all over these birthdays. All right, we'll double check that. But if so, I do want to give a shout out real quick. Happy I woke up. Cool. Okay, I can't tell you too much information about the next Play Dead Live, except we're going to do a little bit more next Friday. Yeah, there were a couple popped up. I think it was Mandy's birthday. Okay, well, Mandy, if it's your birthday, I want to say happy birthday. I was literally on the fan page for about 5 seconds. Okay, it is Mandy's birthday. Happy birthday to you, Mandy. I don't know if you're in the stream, but if you watch the playback, just want to give you a a super special birthday shout out, and hopefully you have a wonderful day. June Smith, super chat, and says coffee and breakfast with Kills. Good morning. So June, I got to ask you, if you had a choice between coffee with Kills or lunch with the Flash, which would you choose? No, don't answer. Don't answer. Don't break my heart and hurt my feelings. All in one stream. But we had some really good freestyle topics last night. I think there was a good mix between The Walking Dead, between some scenarios, between Play Dead Live, and just some good networking and socializing. It's kind of hard to find really good opportunities to socialize with good people. You randomly go out, if you're at a restaurant or you're at a bar or something, you walk up and start talking to people. Some are going to be receptive. Some are going to think you're creepy. Some don't want to talk to you. And, it's weird these days, right? I mean, you want to be sociable, but you just don't know when and where you can be sociable. And I think that is something we brought back with Freestyle Friday. It's a great group of people, and as new people start to join, they're always welcomed. They're always treated with respect. And if you guys have not participated in that on a Friday night, make a little time for us and hang out with us on Friday night, and we'll make sure we have a good time. So, I can't go into too much detail on Play Dead Live, except we are going to today. We're going to be going over to some base rules. I need parameters, but I don't want the game to feel so restrictive. I've already gotten some good ideas from some Patreons. Even this morning, I got a couple ideas. So if you guys have some really good ideas, send them to me. Post them on here. Hey, Kills, I think this would be a cool thing to do. I'm not going to go into detail about too many scenarios, because if I do, then if you get called on to play in one of those scenarios, you're already going to kind of have an idea of what's going to happen or how to beat it or how to solve it. But there's going to be some creative elements to it. And there's going to be a stream solely dedicated to it in January. So they will be 2-hour streams. There'll be a very timely start and a hard stop at 2 hours. So wherever we're at 2 hours, that's it. They're not going to run 2.5, 3 hours. I want people to be able to look at it as like, a softball night or a bowling night or a movie night, whatever the case may be. Just want it to be that block of time where everybody can make sure that, there's no sacrifice and they're not staying up till, wee hours of the morning if they can help it. It's going to be very interactive. So I appreciate those of you that were involved in it that make it more and more real. I've gotten some more pictures from it. And I'm also going to put together, as I mentioned last night, the first module. That's the first one that I've actually written. I didn't write like pages and pages, about a page and a half. But, I'm going to add a cover page to it. And I'll give some of these away, too, when we go to Comic-Con. Just like, hey, this is the first one we did. Just something to remember, 999 Army by. And, maybe you guys can say, hey, we got the first one that we all experienced. Cool. So let's talk about, with Fear the Walking Dead, Season 5 Futures, if Morgan is going to be on this quest to say goodbye to his kid and say goodbye to his wife. We never know where that could lead him. What's funny is we've got several search quests going out. I've not given away a Kills coin yet for this week. So there are 4 major searches going on. The first person that can successfully give me 3 of those 4, I'm going to give you the first Kills coin of the week. There's 4 that I'm thinking of. And they're all going to be major storylines. It's going to be a little complicated. You can't just give me the names. You're going to have to give me what the person and what they're searching for. All right, I'm going to ask again, because some of you are just throwing names. Take your time. Take a deep breath. I need to know. Excuse me. I'm drinking coffee too, guys. Sorry, I got choked up. I need to know who the person is, and what they're searching for. 3 out of 4. And you will earn the first kills coin that can be used next Friday. But don't just give me one at a time. All right. Chris Robinson is the first to successfully... Chris, I can't talk about you too much because... You know what? I am. If you guys haven't seen last night, I don't care. I'm gonna unveil it. So Chris Robinson is the first. Chris was a madman earning kills coins last week. He says, Morgan saying goodbye to his family. Alicia looking for the person drawing on the tree. Althea looking for Isabel, and Dwight looking for Sherry. Those are the exact 4. So not only did Chris get 3 out of 4, he got all 4 of the search missions that I was thinking about. 4 for 4. Now, this is the story in the second half. Dwight's going to have to get some closure. Alicia really wants to know who's writing on that tree. You know who some people are saying it is. And Deborah Farrell's like, Chris is lucky again. So Chris Robinson had all the odds stacked against him last night. He was in a dire situation, and Will the Bill just kept picking and making it worse and worse. Like, Chris had a situation where he had a 33% chance, a probability. And then it dropped, and then it went back up. And then he had another situation where he had a 50-50 probability and aced it. So, there were people that said last night, if I'm ever in a group, I want to be in Chris's group. So one of the things that we're gonna be back and forth. If you guys haven't figured out, I'm pretty excited about Play Dead Live. I'm still jazzed up about all the scenarios and all the fun and all the interaction last night. But one of the things that I'm going to add for this coming up week is I'm going to let a person pick a party. So here's the way this is going to work. So sometimes you're randomly volunteered into a group, but I'm going to allow a person to pick 2 or 3 other people that they think will benefit their cause. Now, the advantage to that is going to be these people might be strategizing all week long about things that they're going to do. So there's going to be things happening offline. So, for example, let's say I picked Emmy and said, Emmy, you can bring 3 people with you on this next week quest. She might be sending a few messages and say, you know what, I'm going to take Fluff, I'm going to take Steph. So, hey guys, when we get in this scenario, these are a few things that we can do. Steph says, who's in my group and they better like tequila. So, yeah, there could be like some interviews. I ain't bringing you if you ain't a drinker. Or it could be the opposite, like I'm not bringing you if you are a drinker. You got a couple different scenarios. You're going to put a lot of work into this, and just to, get up to level 3, level 5, level 10, and have one of your members make a bad decision and go all the way back to 0, that's a lot of work. This could be literally months of work, and one bad decision cost you. So we are going to add some predetermined groups. But I have set up a rules group, and once we set up rules, we're going to have different committees. Some groups are going to work on scenarios, some are going to work on gear, some are going to work on character stats, some are going to work on gameplay, how to make it a little bit smoother, make it a little bit faster, incorporate the timers in there, all of those things. Just so we can get it ironed out over the next 3 or 4 months. Jennifer, I enjoyed that too. Jennifer actually had a super chat to try to help, and Will the Bill had a super chat to try to undo. And I think at one point it might have been Eric Beach. Eric Beach is just like, Eric Beach is just like, hey, somebody's going to show up and start shooting at people. I'm like, Eric, you can't make it that extreme. He was just going to super chat like the ending of the group at that point. So, yeah, a lot of fun. And hopefully everybody sees it, has a good time, realizes it is strictly a a fantasy role play environment, I would just caution, please, don't bring social issues into it. We do it just to kind of immerse ourselves and get away from a lot of the issues that are out there today, and it's just a chance for us to unwind for a couple hours and just have a good time. So, if we can continue to do that, I think it'll be very successful. I love it. I got KY. You're probably about 10. So yeah, you probably don't want to be in our channel. Yeah, Steph's going to do like live. Well, you know what? When we do our scenario, we're meeting at the bar at 5. I love it. I love the strategies already. There's going to be some strategies of people that are making it totally fun and goofy. There's going to be some strategies of people that are resourceful. I don't want to go into too much detail because I haven't gotten with the official meeting of the rules committee. But I will say this. All right. If you guys want like a small sneak peek, if I get everybody to hit the like button, a few people to say, all right, Kills, a little mini Play Dead Live spoiler, I will give you just something I'm pretty excited about. Not a rule, but something that'll make it a little bit more interesting. So, okay. So like other role-playing games out there, we are going to have your individual person will be able to have a character class. And every character class will have its own unique ability that's going to make it something that you can play. So I want you guys to start thinking about this already. A few of the ones that we're throwing out there are medics. Obviously, they have the ability to heal. Snipers will have long-range abilities. Martial artists, engineers. So we're going to be discussing a few of the character classes. So if there's something that you think that you're resourceful and creative, and then when you actually get in the gameplay, you can do some behind-the-scenes work, and it's going to help you with your role modifiers. So if you're in a situation where you need to heal or you need to help somebody out, those are going to be some of the things that will add extra percentiles for you to be a little bit more successful. So that's some of the beginning stages. Want to kind of throw that out there. Goucher! Super chat and showing a little love. Thanks so much. Appreciate you being here. And some of the good comments. I saw one of your comments on the fan page too, just about really good, well thought out comment about what the group means to you. So thank you for that as well. Heart of Nixie wants a status of unpredictability. Well, last time, Heart of Nixie, that we visited your situation, I think you and the Marvelous One might be on the run. And there will be pretty extensive notes, and we'll do posts and we'll do updates on our Facebook fan page as well. Okay, so we got about 7 to 10 more minutes, and if we know that these are the 4 major searches that are going on in the remainder of Fear the Walking Dead, does that mean that Morgan's path will lead him back to Atlanta? Alicia's path will probably be death and closure. Dwight dealing with the loss of Sherry. So potentially could we see Dwight and John partnership if there was a potential loss of June? Not saying 100% is going to happen, but could we see that being a story? And perhaps Althea moving forward to the movies. What do you think about those 4 scenarios? And absolutely, Leanne, ask a question. Feel free. Um, I'm going to answer a question. Morgan's path may have something to do with this. But let me address something, because full disclosure with you guys. So let me pause this stream for a second, because I try to be very forthright, very straightforward with each of you. So Pamela, the account that says Pamela, that's Eddie Pizzle. Let me approach something seriously for a minute. So about 2 weeks ago, we did a stream, and it was a reaction video. No, here's what you did, Eddie. And I want this to be clear, because I don't want it to be a secret. I remember the interaction. It was a stream that we did that was a reaction video, and it wasn't a very positive video. And you typed multiple times that, well, I guess that's it. I'm just going to go over and watch Ronnie at Make a Path. And first I thought it was very out of line. I thought it was disrespectful for the group, that because the opinion expressed here was not something that that was extremely popular. I can absolutely unblock you, but that was the situation. I remember it very clearly. It was I thought it was a little disrespectful to our group. Not that I have a problem with Ronnie or I have a problem with anybody else. I mean, you guys have a right to do that, but when we're in the middle of a conversation to kind of promote that, it's a little bit it's a little bit disrespectful to us, I think. So, if we prevent those things from happening, I'm not trying to tell you guys who to watch and who not to watch. You certainly have that right. Absolutely. But you know what you could have done, Eddie? I get it. I know why you did it, but you know what you could have did? You could have logged out and just went and watched the damn channel. I mean, you didn't have to, make it a point to say that in the middle of one of our streams. So, I mean, like I said, I'm not hiding behind that decision. I know why I did it, and I know what happened. It just, if you want to watch somebody else, just, hey, go out quietly, log out, and be like, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm going to roll out. I'm going to go watch somebody else. Cool, done. I just don't walk in. Maybe some people do. I don't walk into McDonald's and, my cheeseburger's bad and say, hey, I'm walking out of here. I'm going over to Burger King, everybody. I mean, it's just not something you do. So, yeah, well, you know what, Eddie? Since I've been with you since day one, it disappoints me. It disappoints me as well. So, anyway, moving on as we talked about. Yeah, hey, we moved on. Like I said, I'll look at it. I'll unblock it. Just, it wasn't a one-time post. It was multiple of the same thing. I saw it the first time, and I kind of let it go. And then when you said it like a couple more times, I was like, really? Come on, man. I mean, we're in the middle of a stream, and it's not a popular opinion that we're talking about. The crowd was split. There were some people that were negative. There were some people that were positive. I certainly was more on the negative side that night. I know. But, at the same time, sometimes we have those streams. Sometimes we have streams that are, We don't always here. Let me say this. I think it's a great point to bring this up, and I don't mind. I don't mind this being discussed on a Saturday morning. We are always fans of the show. No matter how tough the topics are we talk about, we're always fans of the show, and we're always going to support this channel because I don't think I've ever had a topic that we talked about that I was like in the bottom 10%. I think, at best we've had topics that are 50-50, right? There's been some where I've had half the group say, you know what, I hate this decision, the other half. And as a moderator, you got to kind of play that line and that balance. And I was certainly more to the negative side that night. And there's no doubt that I was leaning more toward that because it was a mid-season finale, and I personally thought I wanted a little bit more. And I think some of that was validated last week, that there were some things that were unfinished business. But I could probably, tell you guys over the last 4 years, at least 4 or 5 videos I've done that were extremely unpopular, whether it was Maggie or whether it was Carl. My indifference to Carl, that I wasn't a big fan of Carl. I took a lot of heat that night. There were some hardcore Carl fans. And when you ask a question like, well, what value? I mean, was he going to take the lead on the show? Chandler wasn't. Maybe they could have written an adult version of Carl that could have taken the reins from Rick. But, I mean, those are things that you deal with, and we're fans. But, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't promote somebody else's channel on somebody else's channel. I just, I think that's a question of class. The Stallion says, if you haven't been checked at least once by kills, you haven't lived. I mean, poor Tommy last night. My God. Tommy was in Freestyle Friday, and it's like every question he asked, I was just like hammered. Like, I'm not answering that question, Tommy. That question's not... And he's like, I thought my questions were pretty good. I love Tommy to death. But, hey, I do the best I can, man. I'm not claiming to be a perfect host. It's just, you read and there's a reaction to it. And I don't expect you guys to be perfect either, but there are some guidelines that we want to follow. And like I said, Eddie, you've been here since gaming a long time. So I was surprised by it. Like I said, we move on, I unblock it. No worries, man. We just, I've always appreciated you have a depth and a real understanding of the comics and of the TV show. You left some amazing comments. So yeah, that was a little disappointing, I think, for both of us. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about the next steps. And thanks for that memory lane, Stallion. Appreciate it. But we got a lot of things on the horizon, and I really want to get you guys involved in the funneling, the decision, the theories, the predictions. We're right around the corner. We're going to have a lot of fun with that, whether it's the movie, whether it's the third series is filming down in, I think it's Hopewell, Virginia is where they're filming. There's some pyrotechnics going on. I mean, there's some explosions already happening early on that look to be a lot of fun. And there's going to be a lot of action, a lot of adventure, I think, in this new series. So I gave a real quick overview. And, hey, I know it's a sidebar, but you know what? Sometimes in these streams, because we are live, we got to address 999 Army topics, and we will. I like to think that's what makes us a group, and that's what makes us a family, is that we don't avoid tough conversations. So, but at the end of this stream, I will make sure that the official name Eddie Pizzle is back in full effect. So I gave a real quick overview of 4 possible scenarios. Feel free to disagree. I'm not throwing these out there so you guys, yep, 4 for 4 kills. Just in my mind, the way the season could start to end. And I'm going to repeat it one more time. And let me know which ones you think could be legitimate storylines and which ones you think, like, there's no way it's going to happen. So Morgan, what his quest was to go back to Virginia. Now his quest could be somewhere toward Atlanta to bring closure with his family. Dwight on the fringe, maybe. But I feel like Dwight's story will have a connection to John and June. I'm hoping of a June exit just because of a personal bet. But if I'm wrong, Dwight getting closure with Sherry, and I just see Dwight and John as a real good duo, like a real butt-kicking duo. Althea, she's in love. Althea wants to, and she likes to film. Oh, that didn't sound right. Scratch that. Althea likes to do research and to investigate, and she's in love, so I think her search will lead her to CRM. And Alicia, I think Alicia is, that's the other thing about live. Sometimes you just talk and two sentences go together that don't go together. So I think Alicia is a goner. I think we're seeing the final moments of Alicia, and that vision and finding out who's writing these neat notes will be like her final contribution. Emmy thinks June's going to die, and John and Dwight will definitely team up. John will toughen up big time. I really like that story, Emmy. So I hope you're right. Leanne Gash says Alicia's tired. Walking Dead Nerd, do you think Morgan will get hint Rick is gone by the end of the season? That's a good story, too. So, Nerd, how about Morgan wanting to go on this quest to bring closure, and then he gets a hint that there's something going on with Rick, and it prevents him from paying his respects and saying goodbye. I kind of like that as a, give and take type of thing. Joey says June survives and John dies. Joey, it's possible. And it wouldn't offend me if that happened, but I think it would lessen I think the Dwight-June combination would be an awkward thing. So in my mind, it leaves Dwight's story a little bit hanging if he doesn't have John. If Dwight loses Sherry and John loses June, you've got, it's almost like an Eminem Machine Gun Kelly thing, right? You got two dudes who both have, they're both single dads from the Midwest. We can talk about it. Kind of like that type of thing. They're both going to be like solo. But then they form a partnership because they have all this, they need each other to sort of support each other. And I think, it could toughen them up. I think it'd be a great setup. But John dying would certainly be a bigger shocker than June. So Walking Dead Nerd said Morgan goes to the movies. So if Morgan goes to the movies, I guess the big question is, because we've answered several of those, so are you guys pretty comfortable? And that's a wrong way I don't want to ask it like that. It's a loaded question. How many think that Alicia is doomed, that Alicia is going to die this season? I think Grace is gone very soon, Joey. And if you guys watched, don't tell me, because I know some of you watched last night. I think Grace, either last night or next week, that we're going to see an ending to Grace. So if you know the answer to that, please don't answer it. But I think if within a week, she's gone. So a lot of people think Alicia is doomed. So Alicia getting some closure, and it's kind of neat that they didn't just put that artwork on there randomly. They did it to draw us to someone. So then my last question for the stream, and then I have a meeting at noon. If Morgan were to go to the movies, what happens with Al? Nerd, I don't feel like with season 6 coming up, I mean, it's possible. I mean, in the season finale, it could be both of them. So, Nerd, do you think you think Althea and Morgan both leave to the movies? Because I feel like Al is the one most suited because of her interest and because her love interest, and she'll uncover some of the things with Rick. Yeah, I think that too. I think Fear needs Morgan. So Nerd says he'll eventually go. Al will go first into the season. Fair enough, fair enough. All right, everybody. Hey, we're 40 minutes in, and I know we had a 10-minute sidebar. So let me do this. I want to thank you guys for being here on Saturday morning. Enjoy your Saturday. Have a good time. Get away from YouTube, unless there's another channel you want to watch. But get out, do some stuff, have some fun. We're going to be back here tomorrow night. Still not sure if we'll do a countdown, but if not, we'll definitely do our reaction video. We'll have a lot of fun with reactions tomorrow. Thanks once again for Play Dead Live. I like to give you guys just a little bit of hint, a little bit of clue every time as we start to develop. In fact, the meeting at 12 o'clock is going, like I said before, we're going to talk about rules. We're going to talk about some things, hopefully, that'll make it more fun, more real, more interesting. So far, in the first 3 mini scenarios we've done, Will the Bill blew up the group with a hammer, so we lost 3 people. Sheila Beasley made a bad decision, and we lost Sheila Beasley. But we did have the Marvelous One and Heart of Nixie make a miraculous escape, so they're still floating out there in PDL land somewhere. And last night, all 4 people survived, but if you don't know how they survived, check out the playback because there were some real creative, real resourceful decisions. So don't think you're just going to tune in and all the characters are going to start over, because right now we're about 50-50. So really neat thing. Thanks, everybody, for being here on a Saturday. Your thoughts, your opinion, always appreciated in our streams. I will see you all at some point tomorrow, maybe 8, maybe 10:15. But either way, let's look into Fear the Walking Dead. Have a great Saturday. I will see you all. And we got that Kills coin once again for Chris Robinson. So great job, Survivor Chris. And on the ledger for the first Kills coin of the week, we're going to give away a lot of Kills coins. I think we gave away 16 last week. I would anticipate we'll give away another 15 or 16 this week, so tune in for all the streams, and you can use those Kills coins for our PDL scenario that we do on Friday night. Have a good afternoon, everybody, and I will speak to you soon. Peace.